Hello everybody, Mike here. It's good to see you. I have a few things on my mind I'd like to discuss. Be glad to take your questions later in the comments section, and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Almost any topic is open for discussion. I only ask that you be reasonable in your assertions and, as best you can, come at me with facts, okay? Opinions are not all that important to me. And, I'm not going to burden you with mine. If somebody solicits advice from me, I will give you my best assessment of what I would do were I in your position. And, and by all means, I'm not into criticism. I don't criticize, okay? So if you're going to criticize what I do, you best move on, because I have been trained to respond in kind. And, I prefer to, I love that term, in kind. It means in like fashion, but I prefer to respond in kind and with my own personal meaning, which is in a kind manner, But, if the gloves come off, I can be ruthless. And, I've been through hell and fought my way back. And, many times, in fact, over the course of my life. And I don't back down for, that's not true. I back down if I'm wrong, and I change my ideas if I'm shown a reason to do so, and especially if I am factually in error and you can point that out to me. I will change my position immediately. I have no choice. I choose the path of dignity to, debate a point that I can't intellectually justify. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to be seen as someone who would do that, And I also don't want to contribute to the negativity in any situation, okay? At best, I want to neutralize. At worst, I want to neutralize, or diffuse at least, the tensions surrounding topics or, situations occurring around us, I should also point out that I'm in I'm in Asia. I'm in Southeast Asia, to be exact, and so I'm on a different schedule than pretty much everybody in the West, and my perspective comes from here because I've been here for a few years, maybe 6 or 7, something like that, and so I have a slightly broader perspective perhaps than I did when I left the U.S. By the way, I was born in the USA. I have an affinity for Western culture up to a point. As it says on my page, I have no interest in nonsense, none whatsoever. And the West certainly has loaded up on quite a bit of that. I am, philosophically, I'm a secular humanist. I operate from a factually based perspective, perhaps is one way of putting it, but I rely on concrete data, things I can taste, touch, and smell. Empirical, that's the word I was trying to find. I rely on empirical data for all of my, all of my knowledge. Okay, so I've had a lot of exposure to mysticism and varied forms of spirituality. And I've been immersed at different times in my life in biblical Christianity, approaching fundamentalist Christianity. I've studied Catholicism and participated in Roman Catholic faith. Converted to Judaism in my, when I was a much younger man, and that's pretty much where I've stayed. Though I am again philosophically a humanist, and I, can neither prove nor disprove the existence of God, but without any empirical evidence to, to back up the belief of to back up the existence of God. In the absence of that, I'm afraid I'm unable to, do much in that realm. Also, I was a smoker and recently converted to electronic, digital smoking, I guess you would call it. I don't know. It's a new hobby for me, and it's fascinating. It's it's fun, and certainly much less destructive than the cigarettes I had been smoking. Excuse me for 1 minute. I'm not a cloud chaser. That's what they call the people that make they can disappear by blowing a plume of vapor into the video cam. But I'm, it's purely a nicotine delivery device that gives me some pleasure through the ability to manipulate the flavors and whatnot. And it's nice knowing that I've ceased destroying the very core of my being, lungs, heart, and, all the things that, not to mention the effects it has on your mind, the tobacco and the impurities and the particulates and all the different things that are involved in that. Let's see, politically, where do I stand? That's a really good question. I'm an avowed pragmatist. I don't really, I don't have an affiliation with any party or platform or, sides of the aisle, or the way they describe the houses in the U.S. and Parliament and stuff, and the UK. I just, that to me is in the category of nonsense. We have some core fundamental things that we all need, and air, water, space in which to live, and protection from the elements, and some semblance of medical intervention when that is required, and so yeah, that some of my leanings will put me I guess to some of my viewers it will appear to put me in the liberal camp, but by the same token, I have no problem sitting down with conservatives and or libertarians, or ultra right-wing Republicans, UKIP kind of people, whatever. I'm open to all of these things, and all the ideas. I want to know. I want to hear things that work. Okay. At this point, we're running out of time. The semantics and the endless circular debates. The time for these things has come to a close, and the divisions are no longer acceptable. We all need air, people. We all need water. We're gonna die. Things are spiraling. Do I have special inside information? No, but I mean, I can look around me. I've covered the globe a couple of times, and it's we can get a very skewed perception depending on where we are growing up, and the types of things that are presented through our media. We can get a very skewed perception of what the world is like, and the condition of the world especially. And I can't speak for the wider, the more vast aspects of nature that are still for the most part uninhabited, though in most cases not unpenetrated. And this, I just find it troubling that such a small organism, humans, inconsequential at best, except for the advent of technology. We managed to superimpose ourselves into what otherwise would have been a temperamental enough but fairly balanced ecosystem. And yeah, there are some cyclical things that happen, scientifically verifiable over time, and even perhaps things that happen to entire solar systems that can affect things like global temperatures and all that stuff. But we have to recognize some factual things, and that is that there's a reason why we have to dig so deep, we have to penetrate so far into the earth to extract the majority of our fuel sources. And I mean, they were put down there, by some benign force in nature. Well, that presupposes some sort of a design characteristic. I don't even want to imply that, because it doesn't freaking matter. What does matter is it was encased in the earth, and we unleashed it. We brought it to the surface, and we put it directly into the atmosphere. For that there is going to be a price. And I think all but the most limited among us are able to see this and understand this. And I feel for nations that don't have a lot of resources. But setting fission in motion wasn't the smartest thing we ever did either, because that apparently is a force that's not duplicated anywhere in known aspects of nature, and therefore the consequences of doing or using or employing that technology is not measurable in the long term, and we're just kind of like making it up as we go here. We've got situations, pretty much hotspots all over the globe with radiation issues and severe issues, underreported by most accounts, by most responsible accounts. It's not good. We obviously need to rein in our impulsive behavior, which is pretty much our from what I can tell, a holdover from our limbic days, our reptilian days, when everything was do or be done to. I understand that, that we come from a time, and some of us still live in those times, where we have to act immediately or lose an opportunity. And it might be a hand-to-mouth situation that is as basic as, obtaining enough food to survive the day. If an opportunity to obtain that food for ourselves, or God forbid, even more importantly, our children, and more compellingly, our children, and we let that slide, and our children go hungry, or worse, die as a consequence of our unwillingness to react in a timely fashion. We have to balance those instincts and impulses that got us to, this far along, enabled us to a certain extent thrive and, to develop. And, I know this is going, the word evolve offends a lot of people, but, it's a big word, and it encompasses many aspects of existence. And for humans, animals, they tend to physically evolve. They don't tend to evolve in other ways, but we've evolved societally. Well, animals do too, to a certain extent, but not to the degree that humans can and do. So these were well-serving characteristics in the past, but we had discomfort, we needed relief. That was basically the principle of existence. And you can call it pain or whatever you want, but that's a subjective measurement. Discomfort is fairly employable across the spectrum of existence. And the avoidance of discomfort is one of the main motivators for our individual and collective lives. And and that's kind of how we got to where we are now. And we need to look at all of us, and I'm looking at it every day myself. Believe me when I tell you, I cannot, look at this. I have this nifty, vaping device. They call it vaping. I have this nifty vaping device, and, it utilizes some pretty precious resources, and some resources that need to be handled fairly responsibly, especially when you get to the battery that fires this thing. It's a lithium situation, and you can't just go throwing stuff like that around, and you got. Maybe that's the core issue facing humanity. Maybe it's just time for us to grow up and become responsible. I'm not sure how to do that, because we're not all in the same place, mentally, physically, spiritually, gender, gender-wise. There are differences that are intrinsic to our natures that have nothing to do with personal choice. And we have to incorporate all those types of things into a worldview of some kind. That the truth is, I don't have a lot of answers. I've spent my whole life uncovering questions. Okay, I have some ideas, but I need to be engaged by other people. And quite often, I find out my ideas are, kind of like lame duck. They can't quite get off. They won't actually get off the ground. But sometimes, my ideas actually bear some sort of fruit. And I'm open to debating, like I said, just about any topic, as long as there's some reason for it. Some societally or humanistically justifiable reason. I don't own or watch a television. I don't much care for network programming and things like that. I get my news primarily from the internet, and I try to look at things as critically as possible, with varying degrees of success. I have my personal biases that I have yet to been able to root out and extinguish. I've gotten rid of a lot of them, but I've still got some more, and they pop up occasionally, and I go after them as quickly as I can, because I have one main goal. And you can argue about the existence of this as much as you want, but there is an objective reality at work. And I try to get as close to that as possible. I tell, people say, well, what is it? It's like, what is truth? Like from the biblical times and all that kind of stuff. Well, what is objective reality? I say it's whatever would be taking place were you not in the room, or were I not in the room. Okay, so I try as much as possible to not be in the room, and when I'm observing a situation, trying to decide what to do about it, whether to engage it, whether to walk away from it, whether to exacerbate it. Sometimes I see something and I poke a stick at it, because it seems like it just kind of needs it. I don't have an example at the top of my head, but if you take the time to get to know me, you will find that you will find this to be the case. Anyway, let's see. One last thing. I know this is not a cohesive video of any kind. I don't have any script before me. In fact, I just loaded Windows Movie Maker into my computer, and this is the very first thing I did with it. I clicked record, and here I am. I'm going to work on my presence. I'm going to work on my demeanor and my approach. I'm going to try to remember to smile. It's something I don't do all that naturally, but I try to stay with a relaxed face so that I'm not at least angry or trying my best not to be judgmental. I don't like to be judged and don't react well to it, and I assume others feel the same way. So I stay out of that realm. If you come to me and you tell me you're doing something that's doing a significant degree of harm to others, then I'm going to do something. Or try to do something, and I will protect the women and children. I do still subscribe to honor and valor and what's the word I'm looking for? It escapes me at the moment. I keep thinking of chastity, but that's not it. Not by a long shot. Well, whatever it is, the word, it's not chivalry. That's it, chivalry. I'm chivalrous, as well. I'm not chauvinistic, but I am chivalrous. I will try to elevate a woman, or in a situation where a man, I don't know. It's very difficult to explain. My background belies this aspect of my personality, but it's a very real part of my personality, and I care deeply about everyone. I'm a defender of the underdog. I will go to the wall if I think somebody is being unjustly victimized in some way, persecuted, assaulted. It doesn't matter. Again, I'm a pragmatist, and pragmatism tells me that works against the species, having somebody who believes they can harm those who are less able to defend themselves. There is some intrinsic value in most of us, okay? Maybe not in all. There's no 100% statements. There's nothing perfect, nothing, infallible in the world, in the universe, in life. So I try to keep those things in mind, but I try to determine as best I can what is the most workable option of all available options in whatever situation I am facing. I try as much as possible to take emotion out of the mix, to keep it out of the mix. not easy to do, and it's with varying degrees of success that I pull it off. But I think most people feel comfortable coming to me and feel comfortable broaching in pretty much any subject with me. I'm not here to change anyone. I'm here to share information. Some very kind people, older than me, at the times I needed it, did that for me. They took me aside and they said, "You know what, Mike, you're not a piece of shit. You are, in there is somebody who understands that, or is capable of understanding at least, that the world is not you, that you are not everybody else. Okay, so you will be able to reach people, or you will have the capability." I mean, I don't like to talk about myself. I really don't. But it was pointed out to me, and I believe this is true for most of us, that we have the capability to meet people where they are. But in most cases, no one has taught us how to do this. Everything is so adversarial and performance based, and critics are everywhere. Somebody's always waiting to shoot down whatever you do, or whatever you say, or whatever you wear, or I can't, for the life of me, I don't know why people want to put those kinds of demands on themselves and others. I don't get it. And excuse me, man. For those of you who are vaping out there, I'm at about 7.8 watts and enjoying it. This is the Kangertech, I don't know if it's Subbox or Subox Nano, okay? Just picked it up. Nifty little toy. A lot of fun. This is my at-home unit. I have a vape pen I take with me on the road, when I'm out and about. It's much more cigarette-like. It behaves more cigarette-like. Like I can puff it and different things. But in case you're interested about any of these things, sorry about not wearing a shirt, but I impulsively just decided to figure out how to make my computer make videos. Downloaded this program, started shooting it. I live in the tropics. It's pretty warm out there. I mean, I have the AC on, but I keep it at about 28 degrees, so it's not cool in my place by any stretch. I do that because outside, average temps are already approaching 37 degrees. Oh, this is Celsius, by the way. We're talking, mid to upper 90s towards 100, which will be breaking shortly. The hottest month of the year is, anywhere. The hottest months are definitely March and April, and it will just go on ad infinitum. We just came out of the winter. We had some, we got into the 80s a few times. That's our winter. It's not, let's just say I don't wake up in the morning with any trepidation concerning snow. That's not going to happen here, and consequently, freezing to death is is no longer in my sphere of awareness, which is a good thing for me because my situation is not always so stable, and I often find myself in tenuous, difficult situations, and where my survival, if I were not in a place like this, would certainly not be assured. And so anyway, my name's Mike, and I'm getting on. I'm about 58 years old, and I decided at some point a number of years back that I didn't want to die in the same place I was born. I didn't want to live the same life. I didn't want to, So I spun the globe, picked a spot, and, here I am, basically. I mean, there's more to it, and I might reveal as time goes by, but it's kind of that random. And that much thought went into it, picked a spot and, closed out my life in the U.S. And here I am. And I'm just toughing it out. I don't have any external means of support or anything like that. And, I live hand to mouth. If I don't make it happen, it just doesn't happen. And I'm not a YouTuber. Maybe this makes me one. I'm not sure, but I've never, tried to do something like this in the past. There's no other channels that I'm aware of. Actually, that's not true. But I've never done anything on it. This is the only one I've ever uploaded videos to. And is there anything else you need to know about me? I think I've rattled on long enough. It's time to find out if this thing works. And I will be uploading videos, assuming that this is doable, and I don't plan on using the YouTube upload feature. I'm hoping I can do it just here with my own stuff. I don't really care about appearances all that much. I'm trying to learn to just be open and honest. I've seen some stellar examples of people that seem to be naturally equipped to do that. In my case, it's been a peel the onion kind of thing, where I had layers and layers and layers of nonsense, just pure unadulterated bullshit put on me from the time I was about 13 months old. And it didn't really end because until I was, even if it has ended, no, in fairness, it's not over. I'm still peeling. Let's just say that I'm as curious as perhaps some of you may come to be as to who I will be when I finally do get to the core. Please join me on this journey and help me, and I will help you. I hope that sounds at least fair. Take care, folks. Thank you for listening, and have a great week. It's Wednesday here. Actually, that's not true. It's Thursday. Have a great remainder of the week and a great weekend. Later.